Right, so this is good news, which serves as one of the fulfillments of the president's promises to revitalize education. What does this mean for indigent Nigerian students?
You know, look, the president is taking a multifaceted approach to alleviating the economic burdens that have been placed on Nigerian families across the country over the last several months. A major one is obviously what His Excellency Mr. President campaigned around the country on, which was the provision of a new national student loan program. That promise was fulfilled, as you rightly mentioned earlier this week, as the President signed the amendment bill of the Access to Higher Education Act into law. I think the first point to mention is that with the amended legislation that has now been signed into effect by Mr. President, effectively what the President has done is to expand the scope of beneficiaries across the country. Initially, the first iteration of the Act essentially dealt only with tuition, particularly in traditional four-year university education programs, law, agric science, medicine, and the like. Now, the President is essentially, with this amendment, has now widened the scope to include vocational technical education, skills acquisition, facilitation, and other critical aspects of our economy that have to do with really the blue-collar segment of the economic sphere. We want to ensure that young Nigerians who are able-bodied, who have very skilled hands with respect to carpentry, manufacturing, plumbing, and many other trades that are currently present in the economic space in the country, that we're able to provide them with world-class training and skills acquisition so that they can participate very directly in the inclusive economy that Mr. President is building for Nigerians into future generations. The President is focused also with this amendment bill on ensuring that the encumbrances that had long been present with respect to access to education for Nigerian families and Nigerian students are removed, especially having to do with thresholds that were placed in the first iteration of the Act on certain income levels that would basically be removed from the pool of beneficiaries of the student loan program. So specifically speaking, the first iteration of the Act essentially said that any household of more than 500,000 naira annually, not monthly, breaking down to less than 45,000 naira a month, that any child from such a household that is above that threshold of 45,000 naira monthly income would essentially be barred from participating and benefiting from the student loan program. We removed the income threshold requirement to ensure that all classes of Nigerian families are able to send their children to trade schools and universities as part of this program. Secondly, we removed the guarantor requirement, which essentially stipulated within the first iteration of the Act that any beneficiary would have to track down specific sets of individuals who would basically serve as guarantors on the loans that they would be obtaining from the Nigeria Education Loans Fund, the NEL Fund. We have removed that requirement as to ensure that we open up the space and we don't subject our young people to weeks and months and potentially years of looking for contacts and connections and these individuals who will stand as guarantors. We want to open up the space for them with that. So removing the income threshold, removing the guarantor component mandate were very strategic amendments that featured in the amended Act that Mr. President has now signed into law, really opening up the space for Nigerian families across the country. In addition, the President also saw to the introduction of a new justice and fairness provision, which essentially stipulates that within every financial year, that this fund will be in operation. And again, this is going to be running in perpetuity. This is not timed to 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or even 20 years. This is a new federal program that will be present into the foreseeable future. He essentially mandated that within every financial year that there is a clear calculation and guarantee that every single part of this country, all local government areas of the Federation, all states of the Federation, cutting across all ethnic groups, all sexes, all religious affiliations, and all of the various kind of national points of difference, that they are factored into the calculation as to the spread of this loan program. We don't want a situation where there's any type of institutional skew favoring one ethnicity, favoring one religion, or favoring any gender over the others. And also, again, this deals with also the physically challenged members of the society, of at least the physically disadvantaged members of our youth population as well. We want to make sure that everybody's protected, that there's an equitable spread of participation in the new National Student Loan Program. So that provision is there, and it is by law, in full respect for federal character principle, which is obviously a priority of President Bola Tinubu's administration now and moving into the future.